Okay, this is going to be fun. Today we're going to talk about slope-intercept form. Okay, we're going to talk about how to plot a line on a coordinate grid using a particular formula known as slope-intercept. Okay, now this is a classic coordinate grid. Now, I'm going to be making a video later on, or in the near future rather, that will explain to you the parts of a coordinate grid in case you don't know them yet. If you're not quite ready for this yet, you might want to wait before you get into this. But those of you that are ready, that know all the parts and everything, now's the time to get into this, okay? So this is a classic coordinate grid. I will explain some of the parts. You remember that this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, this center point is the origin, which is 0, 0. You know that all the positive numbers are here, and all the negative numbers are here and here, right? Okay. Now this, what you see right here, is the slope-intercept format, okay? Or formula, or form, whatever. It says y equals mx plus b. I'm going to create a line based on this, using this format, okay? Each letter represents something, okay? And some of these letters are going to be replaced by numbers to tell us where to go on the coordinate grid, okay? Now, before I get into those numbers, let me explain to you what each part means, each letter means. Y is the beginning. Y is what I'm solving for. Y is what the line is going to show me, basically, okay? The M is called the slope. Okay, the M is called the slope. A way to remember that is that a slope is another word for a mountain. The word mountain begins with M, right? Okay, so the slope is M, right? That's going to be the change of the angle of the line, okay? And you've got the X, which is equivalent to the X-axis, just like the Y is pretty much the Y-axis. There are going to be changes in those where the line crosses those, though. So just be ready for that. The next important, but by the way, this is the operation. You got the equal sign here. You got the plus in this case. The next very important letter you need to know is the B, which is called the y-intercept. Even though it's a B, it's still the y-intercept. Think of the word by, by, y-intercept, right? This is very important because when you plot a line, or when you first plot points to make a line, this is actually the one you're going to have to focus on first. Even though it's at the end, it's almost like you're going to work backwards to get it. Now let's get back to slope here, okay? Slope has two parts. Remember, in order for me to know what angle I'm going, I need to know which way I'm going vertically and which way I'm going horizontally to get that angle, right? So the two parts are almost like a fraction, rise, hope you can see it, over run. Rise over run. In other words, the rise is going to tell me how many spaces I'm going up or down, even though it's down, and even though it's rise, I still may go down. I'll explain that in a minute. And then the run is, running across. How many spaces I'm going to go across, either way. Could be to the left, could be to the right, whatever, okay? So we'll get to that in a second. The y-intercept, this is very important because, like I said, this is the first thing we really need to notice. This is the point, whatever number this winds up being, this is the point where the line will cross or intercept, like in football when the player intercepts when the cornerback intercepts the wide receiver to catch the ball, cuts them off, right? Crosses over them. This is where the line will intercept the y-axis. Okay? All right. So I'm going to make an actual equation using this, okay? Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep the y the way it is. I'm going to replace the m, or the slope, with a number, okay? Let's do a 2, okay? And I'm going to keep the x the way it is, and I'm going to keep the plus where it is, and I'm going to replace the b with a 1. So I've got y equals 2x plus 1. In other words, my slope is 2, even though it's a fraction. I'll explain why in a minute. And my y-intercept is 1. Now, right away, the first thing I have to notice is that y-intercept number, which is, in this case, 1. B is 1. Now, if you know where your numbers are on a coordinate grid, positive and negative, you know that this is a positive 1. And because this is the y-intercept, I have to find the 1 that is on the y-axis, which in this case would be right there. This is 1 on the y-axis. Okay? Technically, the point, if I were to do an ordered pair, is 0, 1. Why? Because remember, when you label a point on a coordinate grid, kind of going backwards a little bit, but when you label a point on a coordinate grid, you use two numbers. You use the number that lines up with the x and the number that lines up with the y. Remember, in the alphabet, x comes before y, so the x number would go first. Since the x-axis is, the y-axis is 0, technically this is on 0 for that, and then the y number is 1 because it's on 1. It's on positive 1. So this is my y. This is where the line will intercept the y-axis. I skipped the x for now. Actually, I'm going backwards. Remember, I got a plus here, blah, blah. I skip the x. I go to this 2, which is the slope. Now, remember, slope has two parts, rise over run. That's a fraction form. But wait a minute, this is only a whole number. But remember, I've said this before. When you have a whole number and you want to change it into a fraction, what do? All you do is put a 1 underneath. 2 is really 2 over 1. That's still a fraction. Granted, it's improper, but it's still a fraction. Okay? So this is technically 2 over 1. What does this mean, though? Well, what this means is, because this is a positive 2, there's no minus here, I'm going to go up, because positive means up, right? I'm going to go up 2, and that's the rise. The run is 1, which means, and it's a positive 1, so I'm going to go to the right 1. I'm going to go up 2, 1, 2, and to the right 1. And I put another dot right there, and that would be point what? What would the ordered pair be? Well, the x number would be 1, and the y number would be 3. 1, 3. Okay? Yes, that's how you do it. You don't go back to the y-intercept. A lot of people like to do that. You pick up where you left off. So now, I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to do the same pattern one more time. 2, 1. Rise, run. Up 2, 1, 2. So now I'm at the 5 on the y, 1 to the right, and I'm at the 2 on the x. So I would have 2, 5 as my next ordered pair. Okay? Notice it's making what looks like, almost if you notice, if you are into space and all that and the constellations, this almost looks like Orion's belt, right? The 3 stars in a straight line. Okay? So these are my 3 points for now that I will plot according to this. Notice I went up 2, across 1. Rise 2, run 1. It's almost like I built an invisible flight of stairs, right? You notice? Now I'm going to take these 3 points and make a line cutting, it's not perfectly straight, but cutting right through them. And there we go. And that line represents this. That. Okay? And that's how it is. Okay? You'll notice that it's straight for the most part. And I continue with the 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. I started on the y-intercept. Remember, as you're plotting these points, once you plot a point, you continue the, I almost like to call them, in this case, upside down L's. You pretty much made upside down L's, invisible ones, like stairs. You pick up where the last point was. So you go from here to here, then from here to here, and if I were to continue, I'd keep going, right? I'd go up another 2 and across another 1. Okay? So that's an example of one right there. Okay? We're going to do one more. And, excuse me, I dropped the eraser. All right, we're going to do one more. And a little bit different. And you'll see there's a reason why I'm showing you this particular example I'm about to show you. I'm going to pause the video. Hope you copied this. If not, I'm going to give you a second to do that now. Pause the video, actually, and then you could copy it. Meanwhile, I'm going to pause the video, make another example, and then I'll show you how that one works, okay? All right, hang on. Okay, here we go. Here's another example. You'll notice I made the grid a little bit longer on the X, but you're going to see why in a minute. That's just because of this particular one that we're going to do. Remember, the arrows mean that they go infinitely both ways, so I could technically make this longer, but because of room and all that and what I need it for, I just made it like this for now. So don't let that throw you off. This time I've got y equals negative 3x plus 4. Okay? Remember, I focus first on the y-intercept, which is the b, which in this case is a positive 4, which means I look for the positive 4 on the y line, the y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, there it is right there. That's where it's going to cut across. I move to the left, I skip the x, I go straight to the m, which is in this case a -3, but as you know, it's rise over run, so I put a 1 underneath. Rise over run. Okay? Now, this tells me what? It's a -3. Now remember, even though the word is rise, you're not always literally going to rise, because when the number is negative like this, you're actually going to go down. That's why I want to show you this. So we're going to go down 3 spots from this point, this y-intercept, and we're going to go +1 to the right. Okay? Watch. Down 1 from here. This is my starting point. Like the go on the go space on a game board. 1, 2, 3, and then 1 to the right would be right here. So to plot this, this would be 0, 4, and this would be 1, 1. You notice? 1 on the x, 1 on the y. 0 on the x, 4 on the y. Remember, the x-axis is the y0 and vice versa. Okay? So I went down 3, right 1. I'm going to do it one more time, picking up where I left off. I don't go back here. I go right here. Go down 3, 1. Remember, this is it. This counts. This x line counts. 1, 2, 3, and 1 to the right. There we go. And now I'm at, this would be 2 on the x line, or x-axis, and -2, sorry, negative, let's see. I'm only right here, let's see. Yeah, -2 on the y line, because I'm 2 under the origin, right? Once again, this is 0, 4, this is 1, 1, and I went, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 1, yep. This is a -2, +2. Or I should say +2, -2. +2 on the x, -2 on the y, because it's under the origin there, okay? So those are my 3 points. I'm going to straight line right through it. And there we go. You'll notice Orion's belt again, straight through. I could continue to plot if I wanted to. Right? Matter of fact, yeah. Let me ask you this. What would the next point be? What would the next point be? If I'm going down 3 and across 1, what would the next point be? I'll give you time to think about that. Plot it maybe. Right? Okay, so remember, I'm starting here. I gotta, hopefully it'll be somewhere in here. Otherwise I did something wrong. I'm gonna go down 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'm gonna go 1 to the right, and it'll be right about there. Yes, it did work. Where am I now? On the x line, I'm on 3, and on the the x-axis, I'm on 3, and on the y-axis, I'm on -5. Okay, -5. Now, what I'm going to do, I want to show you something. I want to make a T-chart with these points organized by x and y to show you something, all right? So here's my T-chart, x on the left, y on the right. I'm just going to put the coordinates for each one. Remember, the first one's always 0 for x, and then the first y is always the y-intercept, so that would be 4. Then the next one was 1, 1. The next one was 2, -2, and then 3, -5. I want you to notice something. Hopefully you can see that. One second, move this a bit. Okay. All right. You'll notice what's happening here. Look what's happening to the x numbers. The x numbers are getting higher by 1 each time. 0, 1, 2, 3, almost like regular counting. So the change in x is +1. It's going up 1 each time. 0, 1, 2, 3. What about the change in y? What's happening there? I start at 4. I go down to 1. Now I'm going to -2. And then -5. What's happening? I'm going down 3. So it's -3. So the change in x, +1. The change in y, -3. And what do you notice? The -3 also matches the slope. Does it not? Right? And the x, okay, the +1 matches the denominator of the slope, or the run. What a coincidence, right? Well, not really. That's kind of the way it is. So that's it. So that's y-intercept form. I know it's a lot to take in. Go back, pause, take notes, go back, try some on your own. Maybe you can make up one of your own, okay? Or you could just use these examples that I gave you and keep working with those, but don't cheat and look back at the answer, okay? You can always go back and check it later. All right? Hope you found that helpful as usual, and I'll see you soon. Bye.